スタジオ3万
Welcome to Season 2 of Chester Pridecast, all things Pride and beyond. We are so excited to bring back the crew and including a new face. Plus, we are joined by a very special guest to kick off the start of Season 2. Before we begin, we'd just like to say the following content may contain strong language and adult material that may not be suitable for all audiences, so your discretion is advised. Any views or advice expressed on this podcast are the views of Chester Pridecast and do not necessarily represent the views and the opinions of Chester Pride. Welcome everyone back to Season 2. Here's the team back for more shenanigans and...
Yeah.
You sound excited.
Well, I'm a lot more excited than you sounded in the first take of the intro, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
In all fairness. They're phoning in a little bit, Jesus.
As you can see, we have a new host, Dylan, on the team.
Hello, nice to meet everybody.
So yeah, tell us about yourself, your pronouns, and also, like we've all had to, your first.
Okay, so my name is Dylan. My pronouns are he, him. I identify as a trans male.
And your first?
My first time coming out was a bit awkward as I was sat in the car with my mum and she just asked me if I was going to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and I had a secret girlfriend at the time, so I just kind of took a now or never moment to tell her, and ever since then she was kind of double questioning me whether it was what I wanted, and then I came out as trans and it just completely turned it upside down. So
well, you've basically come out twice, haven't you?
Yeah.
What was the time frame in between?
So I came out as gay first when I was like 15, and then I came out as trans when I was 20.
Okay.
So about 5 years.
Yeah. So just settled enough.
Yeah.
And then just like
took a while to figure it out.
Yeah.
Eventually got there, and then it was like I shed the skin
Amazing.
of the old person. And
well, the thing is, like, our mums are best friends, and they basically have the same reaction.
Your
like
parents are my godparents.
Yeah, exactly. So
we didn't know that on the application.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased.
Literally. Really important question. Do you have an air fryer?
Yes, I do.
Oh, thank God.
Very important.
He's in.
Is it? Yes. You can stay.
Love it.
There's a whole thing about air fryers.
It's like being in the Masons, isn't it? It's like a secret thing, isn't it? So,
Yeah, everybody loves an air fryer.
yeah.
Cat or dog person?
Dog person.
Oh, you know what? Fuck off. Oh, you were doing so well. So well.
Tripped up at the first hurdle.
So also wanted to introduce our special guest today, as I mentioned earlier, Hannah here, aka Lesbian Mum on TikTok. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself and what you do?
Yes, I can. So my name's Hannah, I'm 32. I accidentally fell into TikTok during COVID, like 2020. And I sort of initially just told everyone I was doing it to stalk my kid. And then I fell onto lesbian TikTok. And
Oh, you fell down that rabbit hole.
yeah, real quick. So like, they're not available right now. They're not public viewing, but I did a lot of lesbian thirst traps to build my account up. And then
So what is a lesbian thirst trap? Like laying flooring, putting up shelves?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little
really
bit of everything,
stereotypical, like,
really.
yeah.
So it wasn't going to be Lesbian Mum, it was going to be Lesbian Hun.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
good. I didn't think of that.
Like a
I'll trademark that now.
Walk up.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it just Reed Wednesday or something? Jesus.
But yeah, and then I sort of realised that there was a bit of a niche there for sort of some more sort of supportive, informative, educational, but also like non-condescending and safe, content. And so I just sort of saw a need, and I filled that need.
Well, you have. I mean, the following alone, you've got such a, I think globally as well, you've got such a response to the kind of TikToks that you do. It is really amazing. I think personally for me, my favourites are the mum reactions. So just for an example, the one that I seen was coming out, and there was going to Pride. So from the perspective of a mum seeing the child. So what kind of spurred those kind of TikToks on?
So it was Pride Month 2021, and I remember seeing a comment from somebody saying, like, I'd done a video just talking about, like, being gay, and, and someone was like, oh, you're so open about this. Like, I wish that I had had someone to have those conversations with when I was growing up. And it would have maybe meant that I didn't have to come out at 25 because, my parents didn't accept it. And I kind of thought, oh, like, kids don't get that, the sort of fairy tale queer coming out that they really want. Yeah, and I was like, so I just filmed one randomly one day, and it did really well, and it kind of spurred other comments. Like, it was quite a generic, like, just coming out as gay. And then someone said, can you do one for lesbian? Can you do one for bi, pan, asexual? And it just sort of spiraled out of there. Yeah, and so I did a whole series around just coming out, and then I did a series of mum reactions that were around, like, mental health. And then I sort of now just incorporate them all into one playlist, and I've done over 100 of them now. So,
wow,
fantastic.
It is really good.
Yeah, considering they're all over a minute each, that's quite a long, you could make a movie out of them.
Well, that's it. I mean, just linking it to kind of like my reaction to Heartstopper, for example. It's kind of like, although, there's a bit of drama, it is generally like how everyone wants their kind of experience to be. And it is, I think that's why they're so popular, because they're so hard hitting. And it's like, that's what I want, and that's what you're drawn to as well then.
Yeah.
But I think the other side of that I've seen is your style videos. Yeah. I think they're so cool, especially like the suit ones that you do. So is there any kind of like advice that you would give on a certain style? I mean, everyone's got their own style.
Yeah.
But black and black. Just wearing black. I mean, so's Dylan, so I'm not gonna beat myself up. I mean, you're wearing a red top, so
I'm branded. I'm on brand.
Show it to the camera.
I'm on brand, thank you.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one. I'm just, slave to the corporation.
Slave to the corporate. There's us.
There's us.
But to be fair, there is like a whole team behind us. There is a crew of like four or five guys behind us. So.
I am going to need an assistant.
That's not for you.
Blooper right there. So sorry, going back, rudely interrupted. So going back to the kind of style videos, what advice would you give to like young teenagers that are wanting to express their sexuality through their clothing?
So I think it's more about like finding people whose style you like and you want to sort of copy them and finding inspiration from people. Like for me, I always look back at how I used to dress when, even like 5 years ago, and the only way I can describe it was like beige PTA mum. Like that's how I used to describe myself. Like I kind of just looked like I'd walked into Next and grabbed the first thing and put it on, and it didn't really suit who I was. It didn't make me feel good or confident. A lot of it I think was covering up, and I felt a bit bland. And it was actually only during COVID that I was like, you know what, like I hate the way I look. I've had blonde hair like almost my whole life. I dyed my hair bright red, and I've had reddish hair since then, which I was like, it's made such a huge difference. And then I've always loved suits, and I think there was a huge gap in the market for, degendering fashion, because it's such a huge thing.
Oh, big time.
Have you seen, these like Republicans in America lose their mind over these Target collections? And they were like, how can you have genderless clothing? And I was like, how is this what you're worried about?
Why do we have gender clothing?
Like, if I just gave you a plain white t-shirt, are you looking at it and going, well, this obviously must be for a girl? But I think that applies to everything. And so, I think suits obviously are predominantly marketed towards men, and they are cut towards a male body, sort of traditionally. So it is really hard to find ones that fit. But there isn't really the advice out there for sort of people who have a more like feminine figure or feminine shape to find suits that fit. So I bought a load of suits and started making content in the suits, and I have incorporated a lot of them into my thirst straps, which has been, so it's like mutually beneficial. Yeah. I see it as an investment in everything. But the way that they make me feel is something that I never felt wearing a dress.
Yeah, definitely.
I own dresses, and I have them and if someone put a gun to my head and they were like, you must wear this dress, I'd be like, all right, whatever, but it wouldn't be my preference. I don't want to get married in a dress, and the majority of my clothes, if I buy them new, which is quite minimal because I'm a big thrifting, charity shop person. I buy from the men's section because I just find them more generous. The sleeves are longer. They tend to be broader in the shoulders. I'm a rugby player, so I have quite broad shoulders. So, finding clothes that actually fit means that I'm going to look in all of the clothes sections. And, men's clothes have way bigger pockets. Massive pockets.
On the bus,
It's so
I
unfair.
fit a full can of Red Bull in my pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I thought you were just pleased to see me.
And I thought I was winning. I fit a whole can in my pockets. Like, that's winning.
To be fair, you have like 3 drinks on the go at all times.
Well, yeah. We won't talk about that.
Always a backup.
You saying about like obviously degendering clothing and like that. Like if you watch things like Queer Eye, Ham is very much like women's jeans actually fit better on men than you realise, and women's trousers do as well. So it's a case of just sort of that degendering fashion is becoming more and more popular. Look at Harry Styles, Bowie used to do it years ago, and if like that, it all comes back full circle.
Well, the thing is, you mentioned that, like, you saying about men's clothing feel more comfortable, bigger pockets and stuff. I had a friend leave a pair of like jeggings or leggings or whatever they call them, and I thought they were just my skinny jeans. So I was like, these aren't mine because they don't have pockets in. But they are so comfortable. They fit all the right way and they stretch as well. I was loving it.
But you get a lot of women wearing men's boxers.
Yeah.
Because it's more comfortable and things like that. So it's,
Super soft. The average man is actually a B/D cup, bra cup.
Well, not Jason.
But we were having, before we started recording, we were having a conversation regarding suits, and I was saying, because obviously I rugby player too, bigger build and everything like that. When I buy the suit that has to fit the chest, it's too long in the arms. It then looks too boxy. Yeah. So it's like, when everything's all this bloody skinny fit and everything like that, and you're like, why? Yeah. Why?
Exactly.
And it does get really tricky. So, as a woman, I'm sure it does start to get trickier, because especially when you think of women in suits, it was always that little short, tiny jacket, wasn't it? That's
like
a woman,
like a power jacket,
skirt suit, and all that, and it's that sort of that black power suit.
Yeah, like big, square shoulders. Yeah,
your nan with a double-breasted sort of thing, that sort of like your auntie. And I think it's great. Like when I said to you that pink suit, though, I'm like, I like that.
Insert picture here.
Yes.
What's it like? I'm looking to, obviously I'm still engaged, but we're looking to get married soon, and we are looking at like different styles. And TikTok's been a massive thing for that. Like I've got wedding talk, I've got art talk, interior talk, all these different kind of categories now on my TikTok. But wedding talk, it's just kind of like seeing all the different fashions as well. Now it has become so genderless, especially around gay men and how they dress. I mean, you'll get some men that dress in like a suit, but quite feminine, and that has like a gown.
I've seen them like an evil queen sort of,
exactly.
like a long coat.
Yeah.
Yes, in that.
I mean, I wouldn't see down on myself in one of those, but but seeing like matching each other and.
I've seen grooms like incorporate a version of a veil as well, and it's looked incredible. And I think people just go, "Oh, well, no, it's for women." And like, but you put it on a man; it's a man wearing it. So you can
one thing we did.
It's okay. It's like this whole thing that you can have flowers at your wedding. If you don't want flowers at your wedding, that's absolutely fine. But if you want flowers at your wedding, obviously traditionally, I suppose it's same for any same-sex couple. Yeah. Do I want to carry a bouquet or do I not want to carry a bouquet? Is that too girly to carry flowers?
Well, what they've said is 2023, the fashion has been, especially for like men, wearing them on the where the pocket is. Like a big, like instead of a flower, like a small bouquet.
I would have like a fuck off blue bunch.
You'd have
my face coming up and everything.
Well, my wedding, we literally, people commented because it was just after the royal wedding. I can't remember which one it was, I'm not a royalist, but, and they actually said you've got more flowers at this wedding than the actual royal wedding, because like we even had a massive arch of white flowers with everything. Like we even had an owl deliver the rings.
An owl deliver the rings.
Yeah, an actual owl. Wow.
If it was 10 years ago, it'd be the Prince and Princess of Wales' wedding. Yes.
So we even had more flowers than that.
Wow. It's competition. Like I see you, I raise you an owl.
Yeah, I raise you an owl. Yeah, beat that one.
But just going back to your TikToks. I think the kind of like the best, not the best feature, because it is like a negative kind of area, but like the clapbacks that you do to someone, like some of the haters, they're so cool. I honestly, I think, yes, go girl.
Yeah.
Because like the one that we mentioned earlier, what was he talking about? Jesus.
Yeah.
And you'd like...
It said, like, you need Jesus.
You need Jesus, that was it. And you were like, here's all
Were they
the
saying
comments.
that in the way like y'all need Jesus? Because in that context, fine, or like, you need Jesus.
Oh, no, definitely.
Or did he say cheeses?
But this is the thing, like you said, he was commenting on everything, so it wasn't just like a one-off kind of comment. And like you were like, you've said this, God, you're obsessed with me.
Yeah.
And that is it. That is brilliant. It's just like,
isn't it? Like, you know, you are putting out this content, you're taking the time and the effort to put out good content. You know, educational, viable content, or some of the other shit that you just get turned out over there. And then people actually take the time to sit there and go, I'm going to be negative about this. Why?
Yeah, why?
Just why? Why? I've got a lot of questions this season, folks. Bear with me.
Yeah, I think the internet and especially social media is changing, and I think that people are utilising it for so many different reasons now, and it's been to so much benefit. There's so many people who are like, now especially there's a huge thing about women coming out because of TikTok. So TikTok told them they were gay before they knew they were gay, and they fell onto lesbian TikTok. And I'm like, when you look at that kind of thing and how that's happened, and how TikTok is now, you can literally buy educational content off TikTok. They've started this new TikTok series,
I didn't know
so you
that.
can create a series and sell it. And people buy it, and some people do like workouts or gaming tips, and you can, you know, there are so many ways now to monetize your platforms. But the same way, as you go from one extreme where people are using the internet for all these amazing things, and you literally have access to every answer that you need at your fingertips. More people now use TikTok as a search function than they do Google. Yeah. And these are Gen Zs, obviously, not like, you know, I'm a Google person, but Gen Zs now, they won't go into Google. They don't sit there and type in.
So Jason, Google is a lot like Ask Jeeves.
And Yahoo.
You bitch.
Yahoo. Remember?
I use YouTube.
The Encyclopedia Britannica. Do you remember the Encyclopedia Britannica? It's like that. Yeah.
Mine was etched in walls.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. People don't, I think, because there's so much short content, you're not going to sit and read an article that you could have fluffed down to a couple of sentences.
Yeah. But you're right about the search thing. I mean, I've searched things like, well, how do I plaster that bit of wall?
TikTok's always been like, right, done straight away.
My TikTok is stand-up comedians, yourself, plants, house, food.
Oh, food talk. I
Pretty
love food talk.
much.
Recipes that you get on there.
Oh my God.
It is brilliant.
Yeah, that's pretty much mine.
I mean, but you think with all of this at our fingertips, and people are still finding things to complain about, and I think that is the new dark side of the web. You know, that's the way that people think that they're invisible when they're not. You know, there are people who dedicate their entire accounts to doxing hate accounts.
Yeah.
You know, they're exposing them, and you know, and when these people are exposed, they're like, "How dare you? Freedom of speech." And I said, "Yeah, but what people forget is that." With the internet now, the way it works and the platforms people have, you do have freedom of speech, but you're not free from the consequence of your actions.
Well, it's like you look at some of the bigger profiles, especially in the UK, like Alphabet, Chelsea Lee Art, like they get so much hate, and you think, well, you also get so much money from it as well. You've got to take the bad with the good.
Yeah, it's like anything. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, granted, a lot of the stuff can affect them mentally. 'Cause, like, there was one video that Alphabet put on that was, she was out with friends at a dinner table and she was crying her eyes out because she was getting that much hate. And you think, girl, you're with friends, be present, turn it off, get away from it.
Struggle to switch off. I don't really scroll through mine, and I just kind of.
I could go for hours.
But you've got to be realistic. But it's like anything. It's like if you're going to go into the media world, if you're going to go into fame, if you're going to go into anything that's going to bring you attention, you've got to be realistic and expect
it comes with bad attention.
It's life.
I think when you build your content as well around being like, oh, someone did this and someone did this. Like the reason I don't do a lot of clapbacks, and when I do, it's very specific. It's for things that I have either personally, I have a little personal gripe about it, you know. But for the most part, I delete things.
Yeah.
The block button exists for a reason. I'm like, my energy needs to go on to people who need it, and you know, my community and the people who I think are going to benefit from it. And there's no way that those people are going to look at it and go, oh, well, lesbian mum told me I should grow up, so I'm going to go and do it.
This is kind of my point. Like the clapbacks that you do, you spin them on a positive kind of like, well, I'm still supporting my community. What are you doing? Kind of thing. It is brilliant. To be fair.
I think that's what I noticed. I'm going to say, obviously, I checked you out before me. So, and I was watching it, and what stood out for me more than anything else is the massive positive message that you put over, and I absolutely adore the way that you do it and the way that you personalize it.
Yeah.
Even though it's not personal, but it is. But I like the way that you put it over the person, especially for quite a few of them. Is like you're talking directly to that person, and I think if there's anyone that's desperately needs someone to be given a positive attitude towards something, or even to feel that they're not on their own, the way that you do that, to me, it really, really sort of like backs up that feeling that person's not on their own.
The thing is, I stand by everything I say. People are like, do you really believe this? I'm like, 100%. I wouldn't say if I didn't mean it. And I stand by everything, and I stand by every reaction. And the idea, some people are like, this is so patronising. And I'm like, no, the idea is to model what really should be a perfectly normal, healthy response to a child just being who they are. Nothing that I do is hurting anyone or, spreading any kind of harm or disinformation. It really is just, this is how I think the only people you should love unconditionally are your children, and that's the way that,
Well, that's it. I think the mum reactions, I think that's why people gravitate to it so much, because they need that support. And like you said earlier, before we were filming, like working within mental health, I think just adding that element in, especially around gender diversity and sexuality, because mental health is a massive aspect of that as well. And I think that's very underrated in a way. I think you'd agree. Like everyone's had their battles, and I think adding that into those kind of videos, it just softens the blow. I think, and it is amazing.
I think it's so important as well that you've actually had training in it.
Yeah.
Because to me, this is my big gripe about the media and social media and things like that, is the fact that it gives a voice to everybody. And the problem is with that, some people who don't, God, I sound awful now, don't deserve to have a voice, or basically they're willing to have a voice to create negativity, and also to think they have a right to speak about something, and probably cause more harm because they haven't had the training. They don't know how to put it over. They don't know how to talk about, especially mental health. They don't know how to talk about such a subject, how to address it.
I mean, there's giving advice, isn't there? Like a friend would give advice to someone.
Again, I think it's very dangerous unless you have training, especially over a social media, especially when it's put out there. And believe me, people do listen to what you say.
People exploit it as well.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really dangerous thing. I actually, there's this TV show, The Queer Ultimatum, on Netflix. If you watched it,
Oh, my friend at work's been trying to get me to watch
it was
this.
the
new follow would pop off.
it was easily one of the most stressful things I've ever watched. But and it was like, here they could have done some really great queer, like especially for lesbians, representation. They just screwed it up. But what came out of it was, a shit show, sorry for swearing, but also there was one person who had about 5 minutes of screen time who gave what I can only describe as just good advice. That's it. That she's not a counsellor. She should never be a counsellor. She just literally gave it to them straight. And I was like, that's how a friend should talk to your friends.
Yeah.
And what she has now done is so many people have gassed her up and been like, all over her social media, you did great. You should host the show, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong, they used a straight host who was so proud of the fact that she knew what a bottom was. It was ridiculous. But now she's charging. She was like, I know what a bottom is.
So TJ's not here? What?
But this person is now charging $80 for groups of 10 people to come, and she's calling them. She's going to come in safe spaces, and she's putting there, I'm not a trained professional. All I've got is life experience and good advice.
Oh, she's got the insurance.
I know. I was like, and then she's obviously in America, and I was like, and I even commented, and I was like, do you know how dangerous it is if you haven't had trauma-informed training to offer advice to traumatized people? Yeah. Like, I can go and sit down with my friends and give them great advice. I might not take it, but I'll give it. But they don't have to take it, and also I'm not legally obliged to. But if you are exchanging money in exchange for services,
and they could pay less money to actually get a more informed
to get a trained person. So she's make $800.
In all fairness, they've probably got a friend that literally would go, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious? We've all got that one friend.
Yeah.
I'm that friend. I'm that friend.
It's good to be a Jiminy Cricket.
I think that's what happens, So I think there are people, and I get a lot of DMs, and I do read a lot of them. Some of them are just traumatizing to me, and people really overshare. And I understand they want to go and find someone. They want to find someone who will listen to them, but. I couldn't reply to every single DM. I couldn't do it, and also I don't know. A lot of them are kids. I don't know I can't give them advice.
We've said about this, haven't we? About giving advice based on one sentence.
Yeah.
Well, we've given conflicting advice. well, just comments, and we just go and do with it what you want.
And I think
Or
whenever
it's
we've
a
given
sentence.
advice, if it's a case of if it's a serious subject, we've always signposted to a
The right
professional
people.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
help
Yeah.
and what needs to be done. If you're just asking, how do I get, my housemate to stop drinking my milk?
Still better.
You're still bitter about that, aren't you? You are, you're still bitter about
Can I just say it wasn't James?
It was not James.
It was not James. It was not James. I've actually been asked to remind and just tell people it wasn't James.
You've had many housemates, and it wasn't James.
It wasn't James. But there's different. I think there's different levels. There's different advice to friends to that, and you've got to protect yourself as well. As you said, it's one sentence. You don't know this child's circumstances and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
People
Well,
play the blame game. They'll choose you to be
it's
targeted.
hard. I see other creators be like, they'll write comments like DM me, and I'm thinking, you work at McDonald's. What advice are you going to give this person? Not that there's anything wrong working at McDonald's. They pay really
Well,
well.
you
and
haven't got the
get free
credentials
food.
to give advice like
but
that.
I was like, how is that going to translate into you supporting a
Yeah.
traumatized, teenager?
Well, this is the thing,
It's
and it
really
can't
hard.
Give them a Big Mac and make them feel better.
That would make me feel better. I'm a feeder and a
You could have said the joke. You've given them a happy meal.
Oh.
See, it's a joke there, Jason.
Yeah, you get a toy with that as well, don't you?
Were you saying about getting these DMs about all these kind of traumatizing things, and it's like it is quite harrowing for yourself, because we mentioned earlier, due to the success of these kind of confessions that we get from the last season, I am writing a book.
He's writing a book.
I'm writing a book. We're writing books now about confessions. Since then, I've been asking for submissions for stories, confessions coming out, all that kind of thing to collate into this book. And
People will be kept anonymous.
Yeah, exactly. All of it's anonymous, but we've also had to be very...
Except for James.
Except for James.
Look, right, it wasn't James. If you listen back to the episode I'm slagging off a former housemate, it wasn't James.
That's what you should put at the end of the book. It wasn't James. I made the title of the book. It wasn't James. Confessions.
Well, back to it.
Back to it, sorry,
Jesus,
sorry.
always distracted me.
Go on.
No, but we have to be very quite straight, especially if it's a book that's going to be ups and downs. I've had a lot of downs, and I think it's very important to include them into this. But it's shocking how much I've had that's very much illegal. That's like real trauma, and you think you should be speaking to a therapist about this kind of stuff, not me.
Yeah.
As much as I'm here to listen, I can't help you with what you've just told me, and it can be quite distressing for yourself to listen to some of the kind of stories that people tell you, and so that's why we're very strict on it has to be legal, consensual, and no harm to yourself or others.
Yeah.
Or animals.
Or animals,
Yeah.
for some reason.
I was just...
I don't know. But yes, I will be putting the link up in the episode. You can make submissions to Rainbow Tea Rooms in Chester, pridecast@chesterpride.co.uk, and our Curious Cat, again, we'll be putting that up on these socials. So yes, get submitting, and we can add that to the book then. You can be a little famous. In a
And
book.
it's put it back in again. It is anonymous, isn't it?
It's all anonymous.
Stress, it's
yeah.
anonymous.
If you want to mention names, I'll be naturally changing names anyway. But
Like
yeah.
you had to do.
I think I'm going to submit one now.
Oh, do it.
I know, let people guess
now
which
it'll be
one it
like
is.
exactly it'll be like, which one's Hannah? Which one's Hannah?
I'll listen to it one day and I'm like,
That's me.
Well, one person did mention like, well, why are you collecting all these? So I explained podcasts and stuff, but I was like, think of it this way: if you've got something that you've got on your mind that you can't tell someone or don't want to tell someone, this way it can be out in the world, off your shoulders, but nobody needs to know it was you.
It's like confession for a Catholic priest,
just
isn't it?
thinking that.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Could be you in a little like.
No, thank
even
you.
a nun.
I'm not.
Dress up as a
no.
nun. There you
I'm
go.
not dressing as a nun. It wasn't James.
Yeah, it wasn't James. There you go. There you go.
Delirium with the heat.
It is really warm here. Yeah, to be fair, the last episode was like, what, February, so it was really cold. We were like, in
February, was it?
it was.
Yeah,
Was it?
It was February.
Was?
Ages ago.
Oh, it's after the thing, wasn't it?
The thing, the thing,
Yeah.
that thing,
Yeah.
and those things, yeah. But yeah, it was really it's not quite.
The Wanda roast thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
But yes, I think if you've noticed, TJ's not here with us today. We've decided he's got piles this time.
This time, yeah.
No, to be fair,
It's a lie. I started a petition to get him banned from the podcast. I have 3 signatures so far.
they're all
all for you.
They're all mine.
Can you right hand?
Names have been changed. So
No.
let's see if he's back at some point.
He's going to hate you next week.
He's not here to defend himself. It's fine.
But I thought if this episode, I think if we do have some confessions, always got to have some confessions, and then we get some of your feedback because we'll go around the table as we always do. So I'll read off the first one then. So I went to a pub on a summer evening with a friend, and coming in, there was a really handsome guy who approached me and said, "You're really hot. Can I buy?" And before he finished his sentence, I said, "Oh, I know it's boiling in here."
So we know what season it was in, so it's quite recent then, isn't
So
it?
it could be, yeah. Well, it was it was some. That
Summer happens every year, though, Jason.
Not like this one.
last one was even worse.
Global warming, I think you did well. Thank you. Yes.
So I said, "I know I look hot." And clearly didn't get the message because I said, so he said, "No, you look hot." And he went, "Oh my God, fine, I'll take my jacket off," and walked over to the bar to buy my own drink. It was only until the next morning that I realised he was hitting on me. And there's me thinking he was calling me a sweaty bastard.
Sorry, it just took me a moment as well to figure out what the fuck you were on about.
Yeah,
The way you read it was really like,
Well, I was being
I'm like, what's
interrupted.
going on here? Well, Jason was banging on about summer. Oh, okay.
So we've been hitting on. See, this is the thing. I personally have never been hit on that I know of. That's the thing. I probably have been
you
hit
could
on.
easily be that person and you
Exactly.
don't know.
To just wow. I was a
Joking.
skinny mini one.
Yes, we've seen the photograph. We saw the
Kit
photograph.
Harrington, and who was it?
Sam Tarley.
Sam Tarley and
Kit Harrington's
Jon
love child.
Snow. I'm their love baby.
Yeah.
There you go. With a bit of a tan. So yeah, well, I mean, there's not really so much advice in that, but like when you're being hit on.
I mean, look, sometimes we've all, like, missed it. You know, sometimes we're quite oblivious. And I think, you know, so I suppose, again, it comes down to that point, doesn't it, where maybe we all don't really see, like, the attractiveness that each of us have to, like, some people.
Yeah.
And so, 'cause if you're somebody who's just, like, not really aware that they have got nice eyes or this, that, and the other, and someone compliments it, automatically you just, like, whoa.
Well, he does mention I came across a really handsome guy, and I've been in a situation where I've gone, I'm instantly out of his league. So if he, well, no, I know, but it's kind of like it's a kind of comment that you would kind of negate it. Really, if that was me, I'd probably be. I'm this person. It's not my confession, but I am this person that would just like no.
Well, that's
you are
to me.
sweaty. I am.
Well, yes.
I'm very
So you're very hot.
I'm very
very sticky and sweaty.
So something I feel like that to me years and years and years ago during, I think it was the Ice Age. But it was
That was very cold.
Connection was very good. It was in Connections when Connections was open, and the DJ there at the time, he used to stir over all the time, and I thought, oh, he fancies my boyfriend at the time. Anyway, cut long story short, we split up, and then a week later he came up to me and he said, "Oh, are you single? Are you ready to date? I've really fancied you all these years." I was like, I always thought you were looking at my boyfriend. I was getting jealous because I always thought, he says, "No, I've always been looking at you."
Oh,
so
bless
A
you.
lazy eye.
yeah, he was blind. He was his guide dog. That looked at me a bit.
So I've got another one here. So there was one time I met up with this guy who was the most handsome guy I've met, and we were getting it on, and just got rougher that his bed cracked and broke in half. We carried on in his parents' room. Naughty, I know. And the same thing happened there. So we decided to...
How?
How were they
What are you doing?
What the hell are you doing? You went to two beds. Also, where are they buying these beds from? It's not IKEA, is it? These are not.
No.
Is it MFI? No wonder they went out of business.
So is this about where do we better beds from?
Yeah. This is what you're asking.
Go on.
Yeah.
Is this what...
So we said at the same time this happened.
Divan,
So
or was it a slatted?
It doesn't go into that much detail.
I don't know how we can give help and advice to this.
Well, I'm trying to.
Without the important information whether or not it was a divan.
I think it'd be slotted.
I reckon, yeah.
Someone was getting
Hannah, do you
slotted.
prefer a divan or a slotted?
I love a slotted.
Yeah, slotted.
Is that going to be another question? So, air fryers, cat
Wes,
dogs.
do you mind? I'm trying to make content. Thank you.
I'm sticking
Carla,
you alone.
divan or slotted?
Both.
But, well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not picky.
I'm not saying.
Slotted?
Have you ever been slotted? Sorry, slotted.
I quite like a divan because you get a drawer, don't you, sometimes? That's
Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't, you're cheated out of under bed space.
Yeah.
You've got drawers. That's the thing.
True.
Fancy.
Anyway,
Sorry.
I'm going to put.
Season 2, great content, yeah.
Yeah, when he
And the
comes
divan
on,
doesn't have a monster under the bed.
Dan's behind the camera. When he comes on, just mute him.
Don't edit me out, Dan. I'll be fuming.
just put like
This is what people want.
the black
Air fryers,
buzzer.
Air
fryer on his
Hoovers,
face.
and now
Dog cat
there's a
people.
whole thing about Hoovers as well at one point. And
But there was.
yeah.
What was that about?
Shark.
Shark Hoover. Still haven't got one.
Oh, God,
I
we
got
know.
one.
Technically, it's a
Go on
brand.
for here, do you? Call a shark Hoover.
A Hoover is a brand.
Well, yeah, it's a vacuum.
It's a vacuum.
Oh,
Yes.
true, yeah.
Yes.
That's
Thank
the
you.
best.
Like that, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on. So we stopped, and his parents came upstairs and entered his room first and saw that the bed was broken and shouted his name.
Is this like Goldilocks of the Three
Oh my
Bears?
God!
Sorry, and the big bed was too soft, and they go on.
So shouted his name and entered their bedroom and saw that he was butt naked. Thank you for being silent for 5 seconds. Jesus.
I don't get it. What was?
Were the parents downstairs the whole time? Like, I get it if you were maybe an adult.
Well, it just says that they came upstairs, so they might have just come home. But
Yeah, maybe.
Can't be having sex in the parents' bed.
No.
That's weird.
And
that is, yeah,
Had sex in that bed.
yeah.
Never had sex in that bed.
So yeah, I think your premature advice of get a stronger bed was well suited.
Divan, you would have the problem with the divan.
Yeah, divan.
I've got the solution. Get like a metal frame bed.
I've broken it.
Yeah, but they can bend then. So
Yeah,
then they sleep.
I've done that.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
good point.
WD-40.
But advice is rubbish.
Yeah, you don't want all that.
But it's like multifaceted because it's like, firstly, what are they doing to break the bed? Secondly, after the first bed broke, was the parents' room the right choice? And did they know the parents were coming home? There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a paragraph. If whoever wrote this story, can you please email us back in with a follow-up? What happened with the bed?
And if it was a divan or if it was a slotted, look, this is the thing. People need to know these dangers.
So when these confessions come in, do they have to have like specific details?
It just enhances the experience, doesn't it, really?
I'm sure you can fill in the gaps.
If you're into rough sex, have a divan. There you go.
Or just don't do it on the bed, do it on the floor. Easy, done. There's your advice, do it on the
Once
floor.
the bed
cushions.
broke, I'd have just dragged the mattress.
The mattress on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Which room do you think are in rooms? This is probably just a three bed
Yeah.
semi.
It's like Downtown Abbey or something.
Yeah, they've had time to go to the next room. They've got time to move the broken bed out the way.
It's probably only like 4 foot long. It's a 3-bed semi.
Plus, if they've moved the bed into the landing, then they got barracks then from the parents to see what they're doing. So they got
If
time.
your parents walk in to see a ram ray, that's when upstairs. But my first thought thing, we've been burgled.
Yeah.
And they
Brian,
took the mattress.
we've been burgled. I think it's to the other side of it as well, isn't it? It's like, from a parenting point of view.
Oh, yes, there you go.
It's a case of there's going to be a time when your child is going to be sexually active. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you think about these things that we've all been a little bit
Yeah.
like, and we've all like negated the truth about things to our parents and stuff like that.
Well, I just put my daughter in front of sex education and I went, if you've got questions, come find me. So I have always used the correct terms. So we never use like
Never
mini
skate
or
around the
bits or
truth
anything
of
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
I've got a twin sister and she actually has a 1.5-year-old. And even at her age, they're teaching her vagina, penis, breast, the correct terms, even from that age, because unfortunately when you do use like nicknames for it, you tend to infantilize those words and you bring that into your adulthood. You know, people do have a really warped, you know, relationship with sex. I do think everybody does, but that's the way to get around it.
From a mental health point of view and things like that, I think one of the things that is massively missed in sex education is relationship education, about dealing with emotions, dealing with relationships, dealing with things like that. It's always sexualized. Everything's always sex. When you have your first intimate thing, is the emotional side of it, the relationship side of it. And I think that's just abysmally not even recognized, talked about, anything. It's not a part of the thing. Everything's too much down here between your legs, and I wish they would, like, you know, sort of like to speak about the emotional aspect 10 times more than they actually do. They don't, to be honest, I don't think they even touch it.
Unfortunately, I see it a lot in the younger boys that I work with than with the girls. The girls do tend to be a little bit more emotionally switched on, a bit more self-reflective, and it's societal. It's not their fault, but a lot of the boys are, you know, they are exposed to a lot of hypermasculinity. You know, they tend to get a lot of like patronizing behavior around emotions, and so they just switch it off. And so when I've done one-to-one work with boys, and I've said, you know, you can have that. Like, I don't like it if you come close to me, or I want to spend time with my friends, and they're like, can I do that? Like, like that's what they look like. Your boundaries are for you. They're not. Someone else crosses your boundaries, that's a reflection of them. I was like, but if you put them in place and you keep reiterating that, eventually they'll switch on, and you know, that doesn't get talked about. You know, and it's probably a big issue, isn't it?
Massive.
I think another thing as well that doesn't get spoken about enough is the aspect of contraception.
Yes,
as well, and that there are so many things that are available to young women that it's not all about popping the same pill. There was a TV program on a couple of weeks ago on Channel 4. Has its positive moments, but then there's other bits as well that's a bit like, okay, that's just been done for a reaction for the viewers, you know. And it is a case of people and maybe parents being comfortable enough to say, speak to your children regarding around safe sex, contraception. That's part and parcel of it, you know. The common conversation, but also the contraceptive aspect for young women.
That's a massive deal, because what's the kind of education you get at school? You're with your friends, you just kind of like blasé about it, and because everyone else is embarrassed, you're embarrassed, and you don't really listen or ask questions. That's the biggest thing, you don't ask questions. So then where else are you going to get this information?
But this is why Hannah's content is quite good, because the scenarios that are put forward to you are very much, you know, being able to give pointers, maybe, you know. And if it is a case of that a young person just happens to send one of your videos to their parents,
this is how it should be.
I just thought of, like, you know, not saying that, you know, and then that starts a conversation, you know, that could have already happened.
Or even if parents watch your content with other kids, they will learn. They will learn how to respond to it.
Yeah, like, especially with the algorithm these days, you can stumble upon anything, really. So it's amazing how powerful that could be. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, best go and tell them.
Okay, well, I think we've pretty much come to the end of the episode. I'm baking hot, so I do want to go outside and just...
Now, is that hot as in, as we were saying before, is that hot as in sex?
No, I'm like,
temperature?
I'm sticky.
Oh, right.
I'm sticky hot.
Just sticky. Not being
I
modest.
thought you just changed from your I can't take a compliment to, you know, this is trend.
Baking hot.
Delusionally. The 2023 trend is living delusionally. So the idea is that if you were that person, that you would just be like, thank you, I am. You buy me a drink before they've even got it out.
Well, this is the thing, like, for me, like I said, I would be the one, like, yeah, I'm hot. I'm baking hot. What? But that's, again, it's because I say I've never been hit on. I've probably been.
You will be.
Loads of times.
Loads of times.
But I wouldn't know. But yeah.
Live delusionally.
Live delusionally. That's
Assume that everyone is hitting on you, and you're guaranteed a date at some point, aren't you?
And you'll feel happier.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's straight from lesbian.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to wrap it up, I would like to just let everyone... Wow.
Sorry,
Nice.
We're not talking about condoms anymore. No. So just to, as I mentioned earlier, the confessions, I would love anyone and everyone to send one, even if it's just a little story, an opinion even of like what we've been talking about even, or what you have a certain opinion on a certain topic that...
Divan or Slatted, I want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
How many people have Divan beds in Chester? How many people have Slatted?
I won't be adding that in the book though. A little petition, another
Freedom
petition.
of speech, thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to put a poll on my Instagram later and just be like, I need to find out.
Oh my god! Yeah.
In the name of research.
In the name of research. Okay, well, if you do that, we'll put the results on episode 2.
Yes,
Brilliant. Thank you very much. But we will also include your links on our socials as well. And thank you very much.
If
for
you're
coming.
not following Hannah, you need to follow. Honestly,
Definitely, 100%.
really good content.
My best content's on the TikTok. Instagram is literally just me shit posting all day, every day. So.
Well, isn't that what
It's my
Instagram's
food,
for?
like, it's like, this isn't another bowl of noodles that I've eaten today.
I love the videos as well where someone's taking a picture and they've just gone, thank you, and it's just like ruined the picture because I hate food pictures on the Instagram. But anyway, thank you everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget, you can reach out to us or email in your dilemmas via email, pridecast@chesterpride.co.uk, drop us a DM on Twitter @CH1Pride, or send in your message anonymously via our Curious Cat found on our Twitter. Chester Pride is produced by Studio 30,000.